Hello, this is Shira, and this is the full moon outlook for May 26, 2021, and this is the Sagittarius full moon. So, this month we have a flower moon, and this was penned because the month of May is abundant with flowers in North America. In certain areas of the world, this is also considered a supermoon because the moon is closest to the earth, and a blood moon because of the reddish tint around the moon, or a reddish glow. Now, looking ahead, let's see what we have in store for the full moon. And it is also a lunar eclipse this month as well. So that will only intensify the energies of the lunar eclipse and Sagittarian full moon. So, first of all, we have the moon at 5 degrees Sagittarius conjunct the south node in Sagittarius and opposing the sun and the north node in Gemini. So what does that mean this month? Well, anytime you have the nodes conjunct the moon is a very sensitive point, and we will have heightened sensitivities for the sign that the full moon with, in this case, the north node is conjunct. So let's look at the sign of Sagittarius, as in this case. Sagittarius rules direct speech. It rules the 9th house. And as a result, we will have a tendency to be very blunt without thought, and our sensitivities may be connected with travel, mostly long distance travel, although it can indicate local travel. And Sagittarius, like Gemini, is very quick-witted, and Sagittarians, like Geminis, have a very fine sense of humor. So, what does this all mean? We will have to be very cautious with regards to our speech this month, and especially since there is a mutable sign T-square between the moon at 5 degrees Sagittarius, Jupiter in 1 degree of Pisces, and the sun in Gemini. So we will have to be very careful that we don't speak out of turn to those most likely closest to us, but that can also indicate acquaintances, friends. So both personally, regarding our personal birth charts and in our lives personally, and as well as within society, there may be a tendency to hear about trivial disagreements regarding right and wrong. There may be a lot that comes about now in the public society about he said, she said, over petty disagreements, and basically within also our personal lives about being too direct or overly blunt. So we will have to watch a tendency not to get into petty disagreement, kind of tit for tat. This is what I want, this is what you want. Luckily, this is a mutable sign of Sagittarius, Pisces, and Gemini. So very likely there won't be any grudges for a long time. But then again, that depends on every person's birth chart. But nonetheless, with the full moon, we will hear a lot about, again, arguments within public. It could be worldwide. You may hear a lot about debates and arguments. Some, yes, fighting. And again, we will have to be careful personally. So that is one heightened issue for the time just before or just after the full moon. Now, Pluto is still retrograde this month, and now Saturn is retrograde, and Saturn is still making a square to Uranus. So the Saturn-Uranus square is definitely going to add to some conflicts, and as aforementioned in my previous videos, especially with Saturn retrograde, we will have to be very cautious regarding anything and everything with technology, the internet, hacking, and anything technological. And we will also have to watch of bullying, because we've got Uranus and Taurus, and Uranus is particularly unexpected. So we may hear of issues regarding bullying and the collective, regarding maybe issues regarding fights in a collective nature or within groups, associations, and so on, especially now that we've got this retrograde Saturn. And to add to this, on the 29th of May, then Mercury then will go retrograde. It will station retrograde on the 29th. So we've got Mercury, we've got Saturn, and we've got Pluto all retrograde. So we also have Mars and Mercury out of bounds this month. So that will only add to the intensity. However, Mercury will then eventually go to trine Saturn. So even though they are both retrograde going into June, they will trine each other, and so therefore there may be some stumbling blocks with our speech because of this full moon T-square. However, once Mercury does conjoin the proximate 13th degree of Mercury in Gemini retrograde, we will be very likely a little bit more well disposed and more socially aware of our speech, and very likely a lot more gracious and patient even amongst our frustration. So that's one beauty this month coming into June. However, with the full moon on May 26th, there is no standard aspect with Mercury in Gemini at that time, 24 degrees. Okay, so, and of course, Venus is in Gemini. Now, Venus will apply a square to Neptune, and on the 26th, it is actually a square within 1 degree. And what does this mean? Well, first of all, Neptune is, remember, the deceiver. And Neptune in a square can be rather deceptive or confusing. Not always deceptive, but there may be some fuzzy thinking. So we've got Neptune and Mercury, which are in a mutable square. And then we have Venus adding to that, conjunct Mercury with the Neptune square. So on and around the full moon on the 26th, we will have to be very clear about our intentions. So it's one thing, we've got this T-square here, and we've got a lunar eclipse going on between the full moon in Sagittarius with the nodes, but conjoining the south node, squaring off with Jupiter, the sun with the north node. So right there, we're already going to be very direct and outspoken, and that could cause some friction there, to say the least. But then you add to that the mutable square between 22 degrees Neptune in Pisces to both Mercury retrograde on the 29th and Venus also in Gemini. So matters of the heart, because of course Venus rules love, relationships, and that which rules communication, Mercury will be rather shady this month. So we may have disagreements around the 26th regarding love and communications. And so this is going to be very heightened. It might be disagreements because, well, I didn't understand what you said, or no, I didn't get that, because there was a misunderstanding in communication, and because you've got these misunderstandings with regards to communication, both with love and our speech, because we're going to be rather blunt, and then you add the communicative Gemini with the confusing Neptune. Again, we must be very clear about our intentions and our speech. Make sure that there is no Mercury communication. Like, you want to make very clear to those around you, and we may hear in public regarding whatever's going on worldwide, that there's a lot of misrepresentation. Again, a lot of he said, she said. Oh, there's misunderstandings, and it causes disagreements, and we're not clear about what the other person's intentions are. And so this is going to be very eminent around the full moon. And Gemini, like Sagittarius, is one full of humor. So we must be careful who we want to play a joke on or who we humor this month, because our humor may be a little bit off center, or believe it or not, it may cause some disagreements. However, on the positive side, with this Sagittarius Pisces, but especially Gemini Sagittarius emphasis, there will be a need to look to the bright side of life. That's one positive here regarding Sagittarius. They are very philosophical and they like to look to the best that can be. And so with the Gemini Sagittarius axis, we will have a need to be more positive, which is indeed very positive. However, aforementioned, we must not get too carried away with being overly candid or not really being very mindful of other people and their sensitivities. And especially now with all these intense aspects connected with Mars and Mercury, and they're out of bounds, and then Mercury going retrograde on the 29th, Saturn, which is only going to create more frustration and delays, and then we've got Pluto still retrograde. So there's still going to be some concerns connected with authority and rules, regulations, and so on and so forth. Pluto can rule power, and with Capricorn ruling government, and again, authorities. And with Saturn retrograde, we are still looking at problems within communications as well, and technology, and group efforts may become rather frustrating. So we do have now Jupiter in the early degrees of Pisces, and it is with Neptune, however, not conjunct by aspect. So as previously mentioned, the good here is to become very sensitive to those needs around us, and that includes with Jupiter within the T-square to Gemini and Sagittarius. That's kind of a remedy for soothing some difficult communications, if you will. And there is still on the 26th a wide quincunx between Mars and Saturn, so that's going to prove additionally very sensitive. And we have Mars still in Cancer, so there are going to be some sensitivities or concerns regarding security, home, family, this type thing. But there is a blessed and beautiful trine and approaching or applying trine closer to 22 degrees Neptune on the full moon. So that will only heighten our desire to at least understand the other person's point of view, even if we are a little confused. Neptune square Venus and Mercury. And so if we become rather compassionate, sensitive to the other's needs, especially regarding home, family, our loved ones, that will kind of soothe a little bit of this very blunt Sagittarius Gemini axis within especially the T-square. And it's very creative. Anytime you've got Neptune, especially here in Pisces, Jupiter in early Pisces, and now you've got Mars in Cancer, it's a very creative time. So one outlet or one aspect of these water sign energies is we will hear a lot about creative endeavors. The arts will become very prominent, and that will be a beautiful outlook for any communicative frustrations this month, is to look to our creative natures or that which is connected with water: meditation, yoga, creativity, fine performing arts, anything we can do that is rather artistic, because this will be a bonus both in society and personally. Now, of all these aspects with the Gemini and Sagittarius axis, where this is in your personal birth chart will be where you will have heightened sensitivities this month, and that includes well, all the planets and the retrograde Saturn, square Uranus, Pluto retrograde, and again on the 29th, Mercury retrograde in the Gemini stellium. So look to your birth chart personally to receive more personal information on how these planets will affect you. So to surmise for the month of May, Sagittarius full moon and lunar eclipse is there is going to be some possible setbacks and difficulties, frustrations in communications because of this T-square. We have to still watch out for bullying and temper our reactions, and that also includes with communications, and apply sensitivity and understanding no matter what in this full moon, because if we do that, then we express ourselves through meditation. Also, anything to do with medical, by the way, will also have a boost this month. So we may also hear about some positive medical procedures or healing. But personally, if we are more sensitive, kinder, gentler, then this retrograde planetary motion, some rough aspects, and watch out for our communication and apply kindness, well then this full moon will be great and we'll get through it just fine. If you'd like to get in touch with me, my contact information is down below. I give one-on-one readings and written reports. Please subscribe to this channel and press the bell notification. Until next time, many, many blessings.